What's up, everyone? Welcome back to HOA Climax. Today I'm bringing you the most insane HOA revenge story you've ever heard. This involves a millionaire, a corrupt HOA board, and the most epic takedown in HOA history. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this one because the ending will blow your mind. So this story comes from my friend Marcus, who's a successful tech entrepreneur. Last year, he bought his dream home, a $2.3 million lakefront property in an exclusive gated community called Sunset Harbor Estates. The house was absolutely stunning. 6,000 square feet, private beach access, infinity pool, the works. Marcus thought he'd found paradise. But paradise turned into hell real quick. Within 2 weeks of moving in, Marcus got his first HOA violation notice. The complaint? His outdoor furniture was the wrong shade of beige. I'm not kidding, they actually measured the color difference with some kind of device. The fine was $500 for each day of non-compliance. The HOA president was this woman named Karen, and yes, that was actually her real name. She ran the HOA like her personal kingdom. Karen had been living in the community for 15 years, and apparently decided that her job was to make everyone else's life miserable. She would literally drive around the neighborhood with binoculars looking for violations. Over the next 3 months, Marcus received 47 different violation notices. His mailbox was 2 inches too tall. His garden gnome was inappropriate lawn ornamentation. His car was parked 6 inches over the designated parking area. Each violation came with escalating fines, and the HOA was demanding over $15,000 in total penalties. But here's where it gets crazy. One morning, Marcus woke up to find a boot on his $200,000 Ferrari. The HOA claimed he had unpaid fines, and they had the right to immobilize his vehicle until payment was made. Marcus was furious, but this is where his business mind kicked in. Instead of just paying the fines like most people would, Marcus decided to investigate. After getting that boot on his Ferrari, Marcus couldn't sleep. He spent the entire night researching HOA laws and regulations. That's when he discovered something interesting. The HOA's own bylaws stated that vehicle immobilization required a court order, which they definitely didn't have. Marcus hired a private investigator and a forensic accountant to dig into the HOA's finances and operations. The private investigator was a former FBI agent named Detective Rodriguez. This guy was a legend. He'd exposed corporate fraud cases worth hundreds of millions. Rodriguez started by following Karen's daily routine and immediately noticed something suspicious. What they found was absolutely shocking. The HOA had been embezzling money for years. Karen and 2 other board members had been inflating maintenance contracts and pocketing the difference. They had stolen over $800,000 from the community fund. But that wasn't even the worst part. Every Tuesday, Karen would meet with the same contractor at an expensive restaurant downtown. The forensic accountant discovered that this contractor, Mike's Maintenance Services, was billing the HOA $50,000 per month for basic lawn care and pool cleaning. For comparison, the same services should have cost maybe $8,000 maximum. But here's the kicker: Mike's Maintenance Services was owned by Karen's nephew, and the company had been created just 2 months after Karen became HOA president. Rodriguez managed to get photos of Karen meeting with her co-conspirators in a parking garage behind the local mall. They thought they were being clever, but Rodriguez had military-grade surveillance equipment. The photos showed Karen handing envelopes of cash to the other board members and discussing which homeowner to target next. One of their previous victims was an elderly couple named the Johnsons. They had lived in the community for 20 years and had paid off their $800,000 home completely. Karen hit them with $35,000 in bogus fines for excessive bird feeding and non-compliant mailbox height. The stress gave Mr. Johnson a heart attack, and they were forced to sell their home for $600,000 just to pay the legal fees. Another victim was a young military family. The husband was deployed overseas when Karen started targeting their property. She claimed their children's playground equipment was a safety hazard and demanded its immediate removal. When the wife couldn't comply fast enough while managing 3 kids alone, the fines escalated to $50,000. They lost their home and had to move in with relatives. Marcus's investigation revealed that Karen had stolen money in multiple ways. Besides the inflated contractor bills, she was also charging homeowners illegal administrative fees for processing violation notices. She had created fake emergency assessments for repairs that never happened. The woman was running the HOA like her personal ATM machine. Marcus discovered that Karen had been using her position to force homeowners to sell their properties below market value. She would hit them with massive fines and legal fees until they couldn't afford to fight anymore. Then her brother-in-law's real estate company would swoop in with lowball offers. They had done this to 12 families over the past 5 years. The real estate scam was even more elaborate than Marcus initially thought. Karen's brother-in-law, Tom, would show up at targeted homes within days of the HOA filing liens. He'd offer to buy the properties as is to help families avoid foreclosure. These families, desperate and financially drained from fighting the HOA, would accept offers that were 30 to 40% below market value. Tom would then flip these properties for massive profits, generating over $2 million in illegal profits over 5 years. Marcus took all his evidence to the FBI. When Marcus presented his evidence to the FBI, Agent Sarah Chen couldn't believe what she was seeing. In 15 years of investigating financial crimes, she told Marcus, I've never seen such a systematic abuse of homeowner association powers. This is organized crime disguised as community management. The FBI spent 3 months building their case. They installed surveillance equipment, monitored phone calls, and tracked financial transactions. They discovered that Karen had been coaching other HOA presidents in different states on how to run similar scams. This wasn't just local corruption, it was a nationwide network. Meanwhile, Karen was living like a queen on stolen money. She had bought a $150,000 Mercedes, a $50,000 boat, and was taking monthly vacations to Europe. Her social media was full of photos from 5-star resorts and expensive restaurants. All of this while homeowners in her community were losing their life savings. The day of the raid was like something out of a movie. 20 FBI agents hit 5 locations simultaneously at 6 a.m. Karen was arrested while still in her pajamas, screaming about her rights and demanding to call her lawyer. The news crews that Marcus had tipped off captured every moment. Karen was arrested on 23 federal charges, including mail fraud, wire fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy. The look on her face when they put those handcuffs on was priceless. All those years of terrorizing her neighbors, and she never thought she'd face consequences. The community's reaction was incredible. Neighbors who had been terrorized by Karen for years came out of their houses to watch her arrest. Some were crying with relief, others were cheering. One elderly woman shouted, "Finally, justice!" as Karen was put in the police car. Marcus used his tech skills to create an app called HOA Watchdog that helps homeowners track HOA violations and expenses. The app has been downloaded over 2 million times and has helped expose corrupt HOAs across the country. He turned his nightmare into a mission to help others. During his interview with CNN, Marcus said something that went viral. HOAs are supposed to protect property values and build community. When they become tools for personal enrichment and power trips, they destroy the very thing they're meant to preserve. No one should have to choose between their life savings and their home. The community elected a completely new HOA board, and they implemented Marcus's suggestions for transparency and accountability. All financial records are now public, board meetings are live-streamed, and any expenditure over $1,000 requires community approval. Property values in Sunset Harbor estates increased by 15% within 6 months of Karen's arrest because buyers felt confident in the community's governance. The corruption scandal actually made the community more desirable once it was cleaned up. Today, Marcus hosts monthly community barbecues in his backyard. The same neighbors who once avoided him because they were afraid of Karen now consider him a hero. His garden gnome collection has grown to over 50 pieces, and nobody dares to complain. The moral of this story? Never underestimate the power of one person who refuses to be bullied. Marcus could have just paid those fines and moved on, but instead he chose to fight back and ended up saving an entire community from years of continued abuse. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even, it's making sure the bad guys can never hurt anyone else again.